Let's bring in our NFL Network legal analyst, Gabe Feldman, at this time. Gabe, the proceedings for the appeal took much longer than we anticipated. What could this possibly mean?
I'm not sure it really means anything in terms of the outcome. I think it just means that this is an incredibly complicated situation. Consider the context that Tom Brady and the NFLPA are in that meeting room trying to convince the commissioner that the 243-page report, which was the product of several months of investigative work, is wrong, and they're producing conflicting scientific evidence, and that's just on whether or not the balls were deflated. After getting through that battle, you've got to talk about what Tom Brady did or didn't know, and then whether he did or didn't fully cooperate. So that alone could take hours. And then on top of that, I really think the NFL recognizes that if the suspension isn't completely overturned, that Tom Brady might file suit in federal court trying to overturn the decision. And so the NFL wants to give Brady and the NFLPA every opportunity to be heard so that if and when they do go to federal court, the league can say, we gave them an opportunity, we let them make every argument, we considered every argument, and we rejected it. So I think it's a combination of things that's leading to such a long hearing.
Would it make sense, with a potential date in federal court looming, for Roger Goodell to reduce the suspension at all? If he knows that's a possibility, wouldn't it make sense for him just to let the suspension stand at this point?
No, I think it's the opposite. I actually think it would make sense if he believes that there's new evidence that would show that Tom Brady either didn't know about it or maybe cooperated more fully than Ted Wells concluded, that it would make sense for Roger Goodell to reduce the suspension, because that would strengthen his argument in federal court that the court should defer to the commissioner. It would show that this was a real appeal hearing, that Roger Goodell was neutral and unbiased, that Tom Brady did have a chance, and that they don't need a federal court stepping in, telling the league how to run its business, because that's what the commissioner is there for, to protect the best interest of the game. You don't need a court to step in and really interfere with what the commissioner is trying to do.
How much do you think science is actually going to come into play? The commissioner has said that he needs to find out something that he didn't know before. Tom Brady needs to bring something new to the table, and to refute the science isn't necessarily new.
Well, I think the refuting the science is going to be a big part of it, because that's going to let us determine, or let the commissioner determine, if someone did actually tamper with the balls. But the problem is we're not going to get definitive evidence either way. We're going to have conflicting reports on either side, and there's going to be no clear answer because there is no smoking gun. So that's only part of the analysis. The other part of the analysis is going to be, what did Tom Brady know? And again, this is a chance for Tom Brady to look the commissioner in the eye and say, I did not do it. So at the end of the day, this is as much about what the commissioner believes that Tom Brady says. This is about Tom Brady's credibility. And if the commissioner believes that Tom Brady is telling the truth, I think the science really becomes secondary, and then we might see the suspension reduced, if not completely overturned.
And one would think the commissioner wants to believe what Tom Brady is saying. He is our NFL law analyst, Gabe Feldman.